Oh, I'm so happy to be using this source. From Gawker.com.
Snap.
I love it. Gawker, as you may know, is back for like the second time, I think, or like, you know, it's Hulk Hogan, Peter Thiel, lawsuit, Gawker collapses, it tries to relaunch, it fails, it relaunches again. Gawker, of course, is mostly not great journalism, but I want to use this source because I find it to be just so funny. Gawker says, Rachel Maddow wards off disinfo with disinforming tweet. Glenn Greenwald is right about this one. I love that they're insulting Glenn Greenwald in this. They say, something has happened. A rare thing that used to happen all the time, but now arrives roughly every 18 months, like a solar eclipse. Glenn Greenwald has posted something factually correct and only minimally annoying. Specifically, yesterday he tweeted about the Rachel Maddow show. Rachel Maddow tweeted, quote, patients overdosing on ivermectin backing up rural Oklahoma hospitals, ambulances, quote, the scariest one I've heard of and seen is people coming in with vision loss, he said. Glenn Greenwald says Rolling Stone has now issued a second update that effectively retracts its false story that gunshot victims are waiting in ER rooms in Oklahoma due to overflow from ivermectin poisoning. Yet Maddow still has her tweet up from 4 days ago promoting it with no subsequent note. Last week, the MSNBC pundit boosted a hoax story on ivermectin overdoses, joining a slew of liberal media outlets in mindlessly digesting the disputed news in another stern missive about COVID-related disinformation. In her rush to warn viewers of the dangers of misinformation, she did not have time to fact check. Oh, that's a bit generous. Like she ever does. Come on. Unlike several other outlets, Maddow still hasn't deleted, updated, or clarified the error. The original story came from a local NBC affiliate. All right, so let's break this one down really quickly. A doctor says he was misquoted. He wasn't saying that all of these hospitals were overflowing the beds. He's saying there were sometimes that there were some congestion, and some of it was because one guy may have taken too much ivermectin. They ended up issuing, the Northeastern Health System, Sequoia, ended up issuing a statement saying the guy doesn't work for us. We have not treated anybody for ivermectin. The story is fake news. And yet, Rachel Maddow still has it up. Now, here's what I love. Hey, good job, Gawker. I don't know why they're insulting Glenn Greenwald. He's right. You don't got to... Sure, I guess they're trying to be edgy. But I'll tell you this. If Gawker can come back and insult people they don't like and whatever, but still be correct, I welcome it entirely. By all means, they can call Glenn Greenwald every name in the book. That's wonderful if the facts are true and correct. Now, what I'll say about this is, my friends, I have seen stories and heard anecdotes of people eating this horse paste stuff. Don't do that. Because what people... Here's the problem. The stuff from the store that people don't understand, it's this tube is for a 1,250 pound horse. What they're saying, what this doctor is saying is not that, you know, all ivermectin is horse dewormer like the media is doing. They're saying some people went to Tractor Supply, bought this stuff, ate a whole tube that was meant for a 1,250 pound horse. That's insane, right? And then they get sick because of it. Now, I don't know exactly what's happening after the fact. They're saying people get vision loss and there's some crazy stories, but I got to tell you, it's really hard to believe some of the over the top stories because of how much the media's lied, how much we've heard from like lying nurses. There was one nurse who was like, someone came in, held my hand and said, I wish I had been vaccinated before they passed. And I had to tell his family. And then someone looked up that there was like no one in these age groups who had died in these hospitals. Like a lot of these stories are completely exaggerated. The problem is we got two things going on. The media is going completely over the top, calling all ivermectin horse dewormer, like when Joe Rogan says he's taking it. Clearly it came from a doctor. And they're conflating that with people eating horse paste. So then you get people on one side who are like, I tell you this, there are people who just adamantly believe ivermectin is this gift and it's great. And we don't really have great conclusive, we don't have good conclusive data on this right now. We've got some studies, some promising studies, some inconclusive studies, and a whole lot of me being like, yo, if I'm going to be honest with you, I honestly don't know. Brett Weinstein can say one thing, that's fine, but we just don't know. And so ultimately what ends up happening is you've got something that's not FDA approved, not FDA authorized. And there's a lot of arguments about why that is or isn't, but ultimately I defer to the slew of studies that have conflicting information. And then you get the culture war in this. Saying people who believing in ivermectin saying the media is lying, therefore it must be true. People on the left saying ivermectin is horse dewormer and mocking everybody, ignoring the actual nuance of the whole situation. And then YouTube banning people who dare talk about it. So at this point, I'm just basically like, yo, I don't even care anymore. Like, YouTube has gone so off the rails. They gave Crowder a strike for citing the CDC. I don't know how we navigate this other than just talking about it and just saying what we think.
I mean, this Oklahoma story in particular, because we just wrote a post about that at the Substack on Inquirer, and when you just get the details of the story, like if you read like the 5-sentence summary of it, it doesn't sound believable, right? Rural Oklahoma is being overwhelmed with gunshot victims, right. and those victims cannot get into the hospitals because so many people are taking this ivermectin, which is a drug that honestly most people probably have never even heard of. I mean, unless you're really plugged in and following all this, you've probably never heard of it. And yet this story, not only did it get tweeted by Rachel Maddow, it got featured on Joy Reid's MSNBC show, The Rolling Stone, Insider. It was all over the place. Like, it was all over the world. It was viral. If you go to that hospital's website now, they have a huge splash page up that says, hey, look, we're taking people. We're not overwhelmed. Don't worry about being turned away, which is very important because rural hospitals are a real asset to those communities. You might have to drive 5 hours to get to another hospital because there aren't that many hospitals in these rural communities and rural areas. So actually, it's kind of a dangerous thing for people to believe that you can't get to the hospital. So what I did is I just called and I sent an email to the local police and the sheriff, and I asked them, like, dude, what's this story all about? Are you guys having a bunch of gunshot victims? What's up? And the sheriff in Sequoia County in Oklahoma told me, no, it's a ridiculous story. We've had one shooting victim who died this year, and we had one other gunshot victim who went to the hospital and he's treated and he's fine. So literally, there's 2 people who were shot this entire year in this county. They're not overflowing gunshot victims. And yet, why was the media running this story? Because it confirmed a bunch of biases. You got the yokel, the rednecks, all shooting each other with their guns, and they're all eating horse face because they're really stupid.
Beautiful.
So of course it's true. We don't have to call a hospital. We don't have to call the sheriff and just ask them whether it's true.
How much? So Zed, this must have been an extremely rigorous investigation. You must have put a $200,000 budget behind this. I mean, how much time did it take you to pick up your phone and press a few digits?
Probably took me, between all the emails and calls, probably took me half an hour to figure this out, right?
Whoa.
As a freelancer writing on my Substack with one other friend who kind of looks over my stuff, right? I don't have the resources of MSNBC or Rolling Stone or Insider or all the places that ran this story. But what I do have is this idea that journalists should tell the truth and get the facts.
Whoa.
And that even if people shouldn't be taking ivermectin unless it's prescribed by their doctor, and it's going to be prescribed for things besides COVID because it hasn't been approved for COVID, we shouldn't lie about what ivermectin is and what it's doing. You should never lie. I think our utmost, look, I think there's a lot of journalists who think if tomorrow they told people that you would explode if you took ivermectin, they would do it because
they're doing it. They're now putting out a story that says 85% of people in Nigeria who took ivermectin were sterilized, and that is not true.
But you have to understand why they think this is justified. They think because they have this overall activist goal of not having people take this drug because overall they think the drug is harmful for you. So because of that, fudging facts and not quite getting it right, it morally pales in comparison, to what might actually happen in their minds if people take the drug. So to them, the telos, or the goal of truth, has been supplanted by this larger moral goal of taking the correct position on COVID, taking the correct position on ivermectin. And this exact bug of post-journalism, this narrative journalism, has infected so many different parts of the media industry right now to where I think we're going to continue to see stories like this over and over and over. Because again, a lot of journalists, they don't care about telling the whole truth about something. They just want to tell you enough information to achieve whatever goal they want. And that's not very different from what the NRA or the Brady campaign do when they're arguing about gun control or any other type of activism.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up this tweet I was just digging around for. So this guy tweets, "Today I learned ivermectin apparently sterilizes the majority, 85% of men that take it." Now, this guy's not a journalist. He's an activist. And there are a bunch of activists pushing this out. And I don't see journalists pushing this narrative out. But it goes to show you the gradient between activist and journalist and how news organizations have become activists, but they still won't go too far. So there is a study that I think looked at 385 people in Nigeria, and then they reduced it down to like 37 people and then tracked their sperm counts. It turns out that 9 of those people, I guess, or whatever the number was, were unaffected or something. So the overwhelming majority, or maybe, I don't, 9 is maybe the wrong number. I don't know. All you need to know is it's a study. It is a tiny sample. It is inconclusive. Activists are sharing it clearly to smear this medication. Here's what you need to understand about how deep this lie cuts. These tweets are going viral. This tweet has 7,500 retweets from this guy. It is insane to state this. You want to know why it's insane? The lie that they are pushing is not about ivermectin and sterilizing people. If what they're claiming is true, it would mean that the World Health Organization has been administering millions of doses of a drug sterilizing black men in Africa. Now, that is an insane proposition, which I think is over the top. The World Health Organization has ivermectin on its list of essential medications for curing river blindness. 99%, because I looked this up, I went to the World Health Organization, 99% of I can't say it.
River blindness.
River blindness. There you go. Onchocerciasis or something. Anyway, 99% are in impoverished African communities. That's where they're saying we need to be giving ivermectin specifically for this parasite. Now, if it was true that there was a study showing it was sterilizing these people, what do you think these people would start doing? I mean, I'm sorry, not even if it was true. I mean, it's a horrifying prospect about what these people think the World Health Organization is doing, which they're not doing. Tons of people were like, rest assured, these people are having healthy families and babies. This is a lie. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.